What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 39. I am your host, SleezBall. This episode is going to be my wide receiver week 2 rankings, top 32. I am going to give you one bold sit, and you're going to go crazy about it, but I'm going to give you my breakdown of exactly why I'm sitting him this week, and then it's up to you and your lineup to sit him yourself. Last week, I said Dak and CeeDee Lamb. I got a bunch of shit for that. They both didn't produce. That was a solid play. Now, before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like and subscribe. All the support's appreciated. Turn that bell on so you know when I'm live. If you're listening on YouTube or Apple or Spotify, thank you guys for all the support with all the follows on there as well. And you guys, if you want to check out my running back or quarterback rankings, they are up. I posted them before. And let's dive into the wide receivers right now. All right, guys, so here is my board. My Ballers tier is at the top, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. I'm going to go through my top 32 wide receivers. You are going to see at the bottom players that are hurt and players from last week that I don't have on my top 32. So Puka Nacua, obviously on IR 4 weeks. T. Higgins on a weird holdout. I don't know if it's a holdout to get paid or a fake injury or what's going on with him. Tank Dell I do not have in my top 32. And Nico Collins, I do not have in my top 32 this week. I will save that one for the very end of the video to break down why I do not like Nico Collins as I start this week. I like to take those crazy shots. And with the information and stuff I digest, this is my call, but I will get to that later in the video. To start off with the Ballers tier here at number 1, Tyreek Hill. Nothing to say here. This guy is absolutely matchup proof. No matter what happens, no matter where it is, he can get an 80-yard bomb at any time, just like last week. And it cost me a loss in one of the leagues. Number 2, Jamar Chase. He's back. The contract extensions, nothing's done, but he's out there playing. Week 1, we'll call it an outlier. Kind of not warmed up, not with the camp, not with the team. Now you get the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a rile up, get wild, get silly Jamar Chase game right here. Their defense is so bad, he's going to have to score. They're going to have to score at will to keep up in this game. Joe Burrow is going to find his rhythm back in this game. I firmly believe that. I cannot believe that the freaking Bengals lost to the Patriots in week 1. And Jamar Chase was playing out of the slot, saw 4 of 6 targets, also shadowed by Chris Gonzalez, who is a top 5 corner, especially man-to-man. And it was a nasty matchup week 1. This should be a plus matchup for Jamar Chase here heading into Kansas City. My number 3, man, I told you guys all year long, Cooper Kupp is going to outproduce Puka Nacua, injury or not. It wouldn't have mattered. He was already seeing more targets before Puka even got hurt. Cooper Kupp, this offense has ran through him. This is a smash absolute matchup with the Arizona Cardinals and the Rams. He had 26 points and 21 freaking targets last week. That's more targets than the entire Arizona Cardinals wide receiver core by himself. Almost double. So you have Marvin Harrison with 7, or Greg Dortch with 8, Marvin Harrison with 3, Mike Wilson with 2. Do the math. Cooper Kupp had 8 more targets than the wide receiver core by itself. This man is going to feast all year long. It's why I ranked him wide receiver 5 at the beginning of the season. Everyone gave me shit. Now you're all looking back at it saying, oh, well, he might have known something. Of course I did. Number 4, struggle week 1. I missed this as well. I thought Amon-Ra was going to feast against the Rams defense. They did not. McVay coached an absolute gem. He took a terrible defense, which they're ranked bottom tier. He had a terrible offensive line and controlled the clock. And he also bracketed up Amon-Ra St. Brown, genius style. And that's why Jameson Williams had a monster game. I firmly believe against Tampa this week at home, he won't have that coaching scheme against him. Amon-Ra will get back on track. If you can go buy low right now, I mean, it's a first-round pick. People aren't going to panic. I mean, depending on your league. Some people might panic in week 1 and be like, I need to trade and get this. I'd go for it right now. He's going to bounce back. Do not panic on Amon-Ra. CeeDee Lamb. My bold sit-em under projection call last week was an absolute banger. Did not hit his 18-point projection. Did not have a CD game. I told you off the holdout it will be a struggle. I said bench Dak Prescott. That was a hit as well. Now, this week, he's ramped up. He's ready to go. I don't care if Marshawn Lattimore's out there for the Saints. It's CeeDee Lamb time. Start this man at all costs. Number 6, Justin Jefferson, the Jettas. Now, he came out absolutely bananas, 14 points in the first half. And then they kind of blew him out and just ran the ball away. So game script kind of hurt him there. Jordan Addison is hurt. You also have, TJ Hawkinson on the freaking pup. Justin Jefferson may see 20 targets in this game versus the 49ers. Just depends on how garbage time works. And if the Niners just, blow him out of the way, he probably might not play the fourth quarter. But if they can keep it close and stay within, 14, 17 points, he's going to see, I'm literally going to project 15 to 20 targets for Justin Jefferson this week. Heading down to tier 1, guys, my wide receiver 7 is going to be A.J. Brown. Now, A.J. Brown has a tough matchup here, but obviously he proved last week against Jair Alexander, straight toasted him all night, that he's matchup proof. A.J. Terrell is a great corner as well, but A.J. Brown can beat anyone. I just don't have him at the elite tier here this week, like above, say, Justin Jefferson, who has a bad matchup as well, because you get the Atlanta Falcons on Monday night, and the Falcons' weak spot is the slot. And who's going to be playing in the slot? That's going to be Devonta Smith. And I think this is a Devonta Smith game more than it's an A.J. Brown game. But he could always catch that bomb. So I have him at 7 right now. Number 8, the man that just never goes away. My must-start wide receiver last week. I ranked him at number 6. Guess where Mike Evans finished last week? Number 6 wide receiver. Now, he doesn't have the same plus matchup as he gets going up against Washington, but he does get Detroit, and Cooper Kupp just destroyed Detroit. Their secondary got better in the offseason, but their secondary was terrible last year. You have to remember that. So when you say got better, there was nowhere else to go but up for them. Now you're in a game where I think Detroit is going to score more because they're not playing against the McVay clock control and the bracketed defense on Amon-Ra. It's going to be a little different here. And Mike Evans is going to smash again. Stop doubting this guy every single draft. He's just going to put up 1,010 plus TDs every year unless he gets hurt. He's just Mike Evans. Number 9, Garrett Wilson. Now, this one was a fluke, guys. Game 1 against the 49ers. Game script absolutely killed Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers, and Garrett Wilson. The 49ers controlled double the clock, or almost, I think it was like 30 minutes of clock time. They doubled the plays that the Jets ran. The Jets were never out on the field. You never even got to see their offense get clicking. And you had Aaron Rodgers, 40 years old, off a torn Achilles, and he looked great. That throw down the sideline that he led for Allen Lazard was disgusting. Now you're going to get the Tennessee Titans. He does get a tough matchup with Snead. But Snead, if you watch DJ Moore or whatever it was last week when he was guarding him, he only shadowed about left side like 50%. So they'll move Garrett Wilson all over. He's in the slot. I expect the Jets to roll the Titans in this game, and you're going to see a heavy dose of Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall in this game. Number 10, where Sleaze was wrong. Rashee Rice. I missed on this big time last week. I didn't even have him in my top 30. And I was like, well, I don't know how it's going to look. The players may target him for all the bullshit off the field in the season. They may try and be dirty towards him. You're probably going to see a Travis Kelce game here. None of that was the case. Rashee Rice is the number 1 wide receiver in Kansas City. It's not going to matter when Hollywood Brown comes back. Xavier Worthy is a boomer bust guy. Actually, let's do them both at once since I'm talking about the Chiefs. So I have Xavier Worthy in my tier 4. I believe it's wide receiver 28 on the year. On the week. And he's just boomer bust. So when I'm looking at, Xavier Worthy's points, and I'm a fantasy player, I'm like, oh, I love it. He got, 20 plus points. He only had two touches, man. So, you can't expect that same level of production. Yeah, can he hit a bomb here and there? Yeah. Does he look electrically fast? Yes. But it's still going to be scary. I know you're going to be excited because it's week 1. I am not as high on Xavier Worthy in this game as I am Rashee Rice. I like volume over boomer bust. That's just always been my fantasy strategy, and it's always worked out well. And it's going to be a game against the Bengals where the defense is very bad. It could become a Pacheco game if they blow them out. If the Bengals look like they did against the Patriots, probably not going to see much receiving here. So it's one of those iffy games. But man, Rashee Rice, did he prove me wrong? I got to take that one and own it. He balled out, man. Number 11 on the week this week for me is going to be the man that got hurt and came back and still dropped 100 plus, Jalen Waddle. Should have talked about him with Tyreek Hill at the same time. Thursday Night Football, they get Buffalo. It looks like right now that Mostert and Achane are banged up. We're not going to know till practice tomorrow if they're going to be out there. I'm thinking they're going to be out there. He said that Mike McDaniel said the ankle injury is not serious on Achane. He'll probably be out there. Mostert will be out there. It's just mind games they play before kickoff on Thursday night. You know how this goes. Jalen Waddle's going to feast. Tyreek Hill is going to absolutely feast. They're both going to pop off this week or Thursday night. Number 12, Deebo Samuel. He didn't get it going like I thought he would without CMC out there. And I'm on this like, I don't think CMC is going to play the next 2 weeks. Do I know any of this officially? No. But as a Niner fan, I've been pumping up Jordan Mason for years. The world finally got to see how Jordan Mason looks. He's a beast, man. And now the 49ers can be like, oh, we're just going to, let's get CMC 100%. The update today was he has Achilles tendonitis, which is not good, could linger all year long. So either way, you're always going to get a dose of Jordan Mason either way in every single game. And Deebo was playing in the backfield. I don't like to see that as a Niner fan. I love it for fantasy. I don't want him to get hurt. But he's going to have a monster year at this rate with CMC and the update that is happening right now. Heading down to tier 2, man, Drake London. Where did I rank Drake London last week versus Steelers? I had him at wide receiver 26. Absolute nails. He was absolutely terrible. This is the time to go buy low on Drake London. He gets the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. The only thing I'm worried about here is if the Falcons, they just don't look good. I mean, if 2 duds happen in a row, like I said in my running back video, I'm going to be really worried how this offense looks with Kirk Cousins, and it's going to be scary, man. But if you look at how it went, Friday Night Football, Eagles-Packers, who was the wide receiver 1 in fantasy football? Jaden Reed was the wide receiver 1. This could be a feast game for Drake London right here, and I absolutely am on the fence. I mean, that's why he's low. I would have him a lot higher, but why I have him lower is because they look like shit, but they played the Steelers defense, which is very tough. Now they're going to get a nasty Eagles front, but a weak Eagles secondary. This should be a plus play for Drake London if Kirk Cousins can get the ball out. Next to him at number 14 is going to be Chris Olave, and he got game scripted, man. Hard to predict that as fantasy football content creator, even analyst, whatever you want to call it. He had 2 points, dude. Now, if this is the time, these are 2 buy low candidates right here. Go get Chris Olave, go get Drake London, 100%. Because you had the freaking Saints were up 40-0 at halftime, and you never even got to see Chris Olave or Alvin Kamara didn't even play the second half. Panthers were so bad. It's honestly going to be like one of those fantasy questions you ask yourself weekly when you're playing the Panthers is, if I start this guy and he doesn't drop 20 points in the first half, it's probably a dud. That's going to be one of the real questions I ask myself a lot during the season because I have a ton of leagues, and I'll be like, well, they're playing the Panthers. Like, I started Alvin Kamara, right? For example, Alvin Kamara gave me 20, but then he didn't play the second half. So I'm like, oh, shit. I mean, if, like, you played Olave, right? Everyone started Olave, gave you 2 points, didn't play the second half. He's played the Panthers. Going to be something to think about. Little fantasy insight from me right there on that one. Number 15, DJ Moore. And this one, I love this week. I told you I was so low on DJ Moore last week, and you guys all, dude, he went up against Snead. Snead is nasty. Shouted him half the field. It was tough for him out there. Now, Romo Dunze, MRI, don't know the update yet. Looks like he's going to miss time. This is now going to be a DJ Moore Keenan Allen feast. Keenan Allen saw 11 targets. The only problem is Caleb Williams' accuracy was terrible, man. It's got to get better. I was low on Caleb coming out. It's off to a great start. I don't want to toot my horn yet on it, but I just didn't think he was that accurate, and now we're getting to see it. I'm not praying for a downfall. I hope it gets better because he has so many weapons around him that if he fails this, and it's going to be miserable for Chicago Bears fans. They can never get a quarterback and never figure it out. I hope he pulls it together, but I kind of did predict. I said sit Caleb Williams last week too. Heading over to Brandon Ayuk. I had Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver 30 last week. He didn't do anything. I told you off a holdout he would struggle. I'm a little nervous here as well too. That's why I have him so much lower than most people. Like right now when I have him at, wide receiver 16, like let me pull up. So if I look at like Fantasy Pros right there at wide receiver 11 right now, right? So I have him lower just because I think this is going to be another Jordan Mason game. I think the Niners get ahead on the Vikings. I think the Vikings had an easy matchup versus the worst team in football in the Giants. They got a dub. Congrats, Vikings. Now you're playing the big boys. 49ers are going to run them over, and it might not be that much of an Ayuk or Kittle game again. Dude, Jordan Mason looks like a hog. And I'm saying that because I don't think CMC's going to be out there. We talked about that earlier. I think they're going to let him get to 100% before he comes back. Oh, man, this one was tough. Number 17 is Marvin Harrison Jr. And I don't know what happened in this game. I mean, you could even see Marvin Harrison Jr. standing wide open in the end zone, waving his hands, and Kyler Murray just didn't see him. He wasn't targeted. It was the Greg Dortch show, which was I had a crazy prediction at the beginning of the season that Greg Dortch will have more targets than Marvin Harrison, and we're off and running. It was 8-1. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that Marvin Harrison's not going to be better than Greg Dortch. That's obviously not smart. But you know who Kyler Murray trusts. You can tell in the game. The chemistry is just not there with these two. I was searching for like Marvin Harrison clips all summer for anything Cardinals. Never really saw anything. It was very weird to me. He's obviously a phenom talent. I hope they get a way to get him involved here. They get a smash matchup here against the Rams. This should be a shootout game. And you're starting Marvin Harrison. But if we get another dud here, it's going to be like, what did I draft here in the first round as a rookie? And that's going to lead back to me saying, don't draft these rookies high, man. But we'll get back to that. I want to get to that a little later here in the video when I get to my next guy. Number 18, DK Metcalf. The all hype. DK is going to be used all over the field, going to be unlocked. No one has the talent DK Metcalf does. This guy's a beast. Patrick Surtain just shut him up legitimately. Like Patrick Surtain, I think, is right next to Sauce Gardner. They are the two best corners in the league. I watched DK Metcalf's, like his 3-4 receptions he even got. He's like draped on. Patrick Surtain's all over him. He's trying his hardest to hold on. I mean, and now he goes up against Christian Gonzalez, who just shadowed Jamar Chase all over the field. Jamar Chase is dominant, and he kind of locked up Jamar Chase. And if you look at last year's matchup, before Christian Gonzalez got hurt, he shut down DK. So I'm afraid to start DK Metcalf this week if I'm a fantasy football owner, and you're going to want to. It's the worst part. You get the Patriots, you think you're going to get volume, you think their offense sucks, but they have a damn good corner out there that shadows everyone, and it's going to be a tough day for DK Metcalf, I feel, again. Heading down to Tier 3, Devonta Smith, man, I want to put him so much higher. It's just hard right now. I feel like this is that game. Like, this is the one guy right now, if I'm looking at my rankings, and I want to put him in the top 15, but I'm just going to temper it for now. This looks like an absolute smash game against Atlanta. He played 71% of the snaps in the slot versus Green Bay. He dominated. A.J. Brown obviously had the big day with the big touchdown, and it was a Saquon Barkley day as well. This is going to be a tough Atlanta front, a tough Atlanta secondary facing the one, a tough Atlanta linebacking crew guarding Goddard, and this is going to be a free day for Devonta Smith. I have him at 19, but damn, I want to put him in my top 10 and just make a bold call. I love Devonta Smith this week. Number 20 here, guys. The guy I told y'all to not draft at ADP value. Why? Because Danny freaking Dumps. Not Danny Dimes. Danny Dumps. Probably the worst contract in NFL history besides maybe Deshaun Watson. We'll see how that plays out. But, God, it's so terrible watching the Giants. I can't do it. When Malik Neighbors was drafted here on NFL Draft Day, I was freaking yelling at the TV, no! Like, fuck, no! Go to the Chargers, man. He is just turmoiled. Oh, man, I hope you didn't waste a high ADP pick on him. I mean, you could see the volume's going to be there. Maybe, he had, five catches or something like that. It's not good. It's not good long-term. It's not good dynasty either because, say the Giants go, 1-15 here. You got a new rookie quarterback. You're rebuilding again, probably a new head coach, new offensive coordinator. And the quarterbacks in this class are not supposed to be that good, So it's going to be, it's going to be a tough road. He's probably going to request a trade in the offseason, man. Mark that down. Next wide receiver up, 21, Michael Pittman. This one scares me, right? You had a game against the Texans where you were down. You had a chance to have a monster game for Michael Pittman, and it just didn't happen, right? I mean, 5-point game. It was an Anthony Richardson bomb to Alex Pierce. Alex Pierce had the second most receiving yards on the day. I was blown away. But plus side, he saw 8 targets, but Anthony Richardson looked a little inaccurate in the short game. He could hit all the bombs, but he couldn't hit the short game, which is where Michael Pittman thrives, is the short game. I'm hoping it gets better. I'm not fully scared of him yet. I'm on a buy low, but like a sketch buy low on him, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm not super pumped because Anthony Richardson's accuracy just didn't look good up close at all. Number 22, this one pains me, man. Davante Adams. I'm such a fan of Davante Adams. Gardner Minshew absolutely just got throttled by the Chargers. I mean, it wasn't even close. I know the Chargers defense, you could say, looked better. I wouldn't say looked better. I'd say more the Raiders offense looked terrible. He only saw 6 targets, and they were down by 12 for almost the whole second half. 11 fantasy points. I hope it gets better here, but it seems like he's going to be requesting a trade, in my opinion. They go against Baltimore. You're going to see on your phone or on whatever app you're on, it's going to say Baltimore, and it's going to say a green plus matchup, right? But that is not a green plus matchup. That is only a green plus matchup because you played against Patrick Mahomes. Okay, now this is almost like a sit Devontae game for me, unless the Ravens get so far ahead that he can get a little garbage time in the second or third quarter. Like, I could see it getting out of hand fast. And the Ravens are pissed from last week, man. That foot toe of Isaiah Likely, they're gonna come out angry, man. And I just don't like Devontae Adams in this game. That's why I have him so low. I usually rank him in my top 15. He's a target hog. It just hurts. Next wide receiver is the steal of the draft, guys. Chris Godwin, man. This is my wide receiver 23 on the week. Absolutely balled out. 8 targets last week. Like 5 of them went for first downs. He's the guy they look for all the time. 20-point fantasy game. Yes, it was against the Commanders. It was a very bad defense. Now you get Detroit. But like I said with Mike Evans, and Mike Evans will probably draw a double now. And Mike Evans is not done. So, I mean, now Chris Godwin is going against the Lions in the Dome. Going to have slot advantage here. He's going to feast in this game. He's going to be a startable every week. He sees so much volume. You go and get Chris Godwin right now if you can. Heading down to tier 4 here. Ugly, ugly game. Amari Cooper, I missed right here. I thought he was going to feast last week. I thought Trayvon Diggs would try and go for a pick like he always does and get burnt to the house. And I don't have any excuse, but Deshaun Watson looked terrible. The Browns offense looked terrible. I completely fumbled this one all the way. I take the good with the bad, man. I'm not going to lie. I had Amari Cooper a lot higher, and it just did not pan out. And now I don't even know. I mean, how do I judge this going forward? If I'm looking at the Jags game they're going up against, Waddle and Tyreek Hill are different monsters. Obviously, Tyreek Hill hit a bomb late in the game. Waddle looked great off the injury. He popped in the game, popped back out. And now you're going to have Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy, but you have Deshaun Watson. And he just didn't look right. I mean, I don't know what the deal is. All the weapons are there. Everything. Offensive line, defense, wide receivers, running back. So when Nick Chubb comes back, all the weapons are here. I just don't trust it, man. I really love Amari Cooper and the volume I thought he should see. He did not see. I hope it bounces back in week 2, but if it doesn't, I'm going to be really, really nervous, and like a sell now will be coming here on Amari Cooper if nothing happens next week. George Pickens. Man, I said last week that A.J. Terrell was going to lock this man up. He's a great corner. George Pickens proved me wrong. He proved me that he is matchup proof, but he is not this matchup proof right here. This week, he is going up against Pat Surtain, and I just talked about him with DK Metcalf. This man is Sauce Gardner-esque. Look what Sauce Gardner just did to Brandon Ayuk. Look what Patrick Surtain just did to DK Metcalf. Do not start George Pickens this week. You are hoping for a miracle touchdown bomb for him to make an athletic play. But like I said, if you remember what I said with DK Metcalf, every catch DK Metcalf made, I watched the entire game, front to back, everything. Every catch he made, Patrick Surtain is right on him, dude. These are like fucking big boy DK catches that he made. It wasn't like anything was open. I am telling you, George Pickens is a sit this week. So I had Xavier Worthy. We talked about him. Moving on down here to the next guy, we're going to go Zay Flowers. I had Zay Flowers as a must-sit last week. Zay Flowers was a must-sit check mark last week. Now, this game, the Raiders, I'm skeptical, man, because if the Ravens get ahead, you're looking at a Derrick Henry game, and that would be every game this year. So if Zay Flowers doesn't pop, in the second quarter or something, have a score by then, you're probably looking at a Derrick Henry game where Zay Flowers probably has 7 to 8 points. Man, the Raiders front is good, though. So I think this is going to be a more passing game for Zay Flowers here. I just don't love it. I mean, Lamar Jackson, I've never loved his passing mechanics. I've always loved his run game in fantasy football. But it could be I have him low because it's just a risk I don't want to take, but it could be a Zay Flowers game more than a run game here because the Raiders up front are nasty. Heading down to number 29, Stephon Diggs. Man, this guy, just 2 touchdowns out. I mean, I had him ranked at 26. It was way off. Let's be honest. I mean, I didn't realize how easy the Colts matchup was going to be for them. I mean, the Colts secondary is just so bad. Crazy thing is he didn't drop a target either. He was 6 for 6, 33 yards, 21 points, 2 touchdowns. I don't think that's sustainable though, right? So if I'm looking at 6 catches and 2 touchdowns, that's not sustainable. He played on 77% of the snaps too. First game, the chemistry looked great. Nico Collins looked great. Tank Dell missed a couple touchdowns. He looked great, but their matchup is just a nightmare. And I'm going to talk about why we're here. Let's just bring over Tank Dell here as well. And why I have, you can't really see it. Tank Dell and Nico Collins outside of the top 32 this week. Jalen Johnson is the best, if not, second best, to dead even with Surtain and dead even with Sauce Gardner. I'd say Sauce is a little more elite or top echelon elite. Jalen Johnson is absolutely disgusting. He is going to be all over Nico Collins this week. The Chicago Bears defense is gross, man. They just scored 24 points. They just held Will Levis to 120 yards. And the only reason Tony Pollard got loose was because of a busted defensive play. This defense is nasty, man. If they're on your wire, go get the Bears defense. They are matchup proof. You can play them against anybody. And I just think Nico Collins is going to have a bad game here because he's going to get locked up from one of the best corners in the league. That's the only reason I'm sitting him. If you watch, so go look at, Tennessee Titans game last week. Look what they had to do to even manufacture catches for DeAndre Hopkins or manufacture catches for Calvin Ridley. They were all short. Couple, outs, 10 yards coming out of the slot. Those were there. Nico Collins feasts on the deep ball. It's not going to happen in this game. I do not like him as a start this week. I don't even have him in my top 32. I am a bear down defense guy here, and I think they're just going to lock him up. Last but not least, tier 5. This one was mind-blowing, man. Terry McLaurin. I had him so high, 30% target share. He's going to be the only guy out there in the Commanders. He was not. Jaden Daniels looked terrible passing the ball. I mean, dude, 2 receptions for Terry McLaurin in a game where the Bucs are dominating and it's garbage time and he was still playing and not getting anything done is very concerning. I hope against the New York Giants that Terry McLaurin can find his way back to glory in fantasy football, because if he doesn't this week, I have a lot of Terry McLaurin shares. I thought it was going to be a massive JD5 Terry week. Yes, it is just week 1. Yes, the chemistry will build. But man, that was hideous, bro. Like not even a look, not even nothing. I mean, if I go to the game and I'm looking at the stats, like let me pull up the stats here. I think I remember that he was out targeted by every receiver. I don't want to give you the wrong information. Let me find the Commanders game here real quick. Okay, so here is your receiving for the Commanders. He had 4 targets. Zach Ertz had 4 targets. Brian Robinson had 4 targets. Austin Eckler had 4 targets. Luke McCaffrey had 3 targets. Olamide Zaccheaus had 3 targets. I mean, these names should not be in conversation with Terry freaking F1 McLaurin. It better get going this week against the Giants, or I'm going to be really, really worried here. I want to rank him higher. I mean, I'd rather put him up by Devontae Smith or by, DK Metcalf, 18, 19, 20 range, but I'm putting him in the 30s because, it looked terrible. 31, this one hurts a ton. This one hurts an absolute ton. The wide receiver 1 in fantasy football right now is Jaden Reed. This man has a nose for the end zone. 31 points, and he had a touchdown called back that was a 30-yard touchdown as well. He could be in the first place by a long shot at wide receiver right now, but they lose Jordan Love for 3 weeks here. So people are going to panic and think it's not time to start Jaden Reed. Hold the phone here. I know Malik Willis is the quarterback, But let's just look at this for a second. They play the Indianapolis Colts, who's probably the worst secondary defense in football if you watch the Houston Texans game. Diggs with 20 points. Nico Collins with 18 points. Tank Dell missed a wide open touchdown. Joe Mixon had 30 points as a running back. He was running back 2. This could be, I think it's going to be a lot more Josh Jacobs you see as well, but this could be a Jaden Reed game again. All he needs is 1 inch of space to get a touchdown. Man, this man is so shifty. He's so quick with the ball. And if you're a fantasy football owner right now, hear me now. So the owner of Jaden Reed right now is pissed because they think Jordan Love is gone. This is your time to buy now on Jaden Reed because Jordan Love will be back in 3 weeks. Packers will be back on the grind in 3 weeks, and you'll be looking at the number 1 wide receiver on the Packers that we all knew all along wasn't going to be Christian Watson. Stop the nonsense! Number 31. Sorry, Jaden Reed was 30. Number 31, Keenan Allen. Now, Keenan Allen saw 11 targets, guys. 11. 4 receptions. Like I said, Caleb Williams' accuracy looked like shit. Now, Keenan Allen is going to get Houston. Houston defense is nasty up front. I mean, this is going to be one of those ugly games. Sunday Night Football. I know. Man, both these defenses are so good. The Bears defense is probably top 3, in my opinion. They're so underrated. It's crazy. All they do is score touchdowns and get turnovers and get sacks. It's disgusting. Houston defense locked up JT. They look great. Keenan Allen, I know Roma Dunze may be out too. I mean, he may see 10, 11 targets again. Just depends on how good the targets are. Like, it's like a Malik Neighbors situation for me. Neighbors going to see 10 targets, probably with 5 in the dirt. Keenan Allen going to see 11, 12 targets, probably with 5 uncatchable. So I'm going to keep him at 31. I mean, I still would flex start him, but I think it's going to be a tough game. The last but not least, man, everyone can get me for this one. I did not think Jameson Williams was going to come out and light up the Rams. He looked unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, the thing you have to look at is what I said with Amon-Ra. Or like a Travis Kelce or a Mark Andrews game, right? They took these guys away. McVay 100% took away Amon-Ra. Even though their defense was bad, they still gave up everything to stop him. Jameson Williams was running free. You still got to worry about Laporta. This could happen all year long, man. This could be a flexible play weekly with Jameson Williams. He looked electric. He looked like a Tyreek Hill, bigger body version speedster, man. I don't know if I still trust it. I want to see a little consistency out of it more than just one boomer bust game because that's what he's known for is boomer bust games. But man, if I'm looking for a wide receiver to pick up or trade for, this would be one I'm very, very interested in right now. That's it for the top 32, guys. Let me recap for those of you that are listening. My ballers tier, number 1, starting off with Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. Heading out of tier 2, number 7, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice, Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel. Tier 2, number 13, Drake London, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Marvin Harrison, DK Metcalf. Tier 3, number 19, Devontae Smith, Malik Neighbors, Michael Pittman, Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin. Tier 4, number 23, Amari Cooper, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers, Stephon Diggs. Tier 5, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Reed, Keenan Allen, Jameson Williams. And I have Nico Collins on a bold sit-em call this week. That's it for episode 39, guys. Thanks for rocking with me in this episode. Make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash that subscribe. Make sure you turn the bell on so you know if I'm live. If you have any questions, comments, anything fantasy football, drop them in the comments. I will answer them as fast as I can. I will also be live before every single game, guys. Thursday. So we got Dolphins, Bills. I'll be live 2 hours before that. We'll be chatting about football start sits for the Discord community as well. And then Sunday, I'll be live 2 hours before. And I got a couple shows planned Friday or Saturday. I don't know the details yet, but I will get those guys to you. And if you want to check out my running back, quarterback videos, those are out as well, guys. So you can see my top, all the quarterbacks. I did all 32. I did my top 32 running backs. My tight end video is coming next. And that's it for SleezBall, man. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
You